What sport saves lives?
Your teammate just crashed on purpose, not because they lost control, not because of brake failure, but because the team told them to, and it handed you the race win. That actually happened in Formula One, the biggest motorsport on Earth. F1 isn't just about speed and glory. It's about lies, betrayals, and scandals so insane they had to rewrite the entire rulebook. Rigged races, $100 million fines, drivers deliberately taking out their rivals for championships. These 10 moments prove that sometimes the real battle isn't on track, it's in the shadows, and by the end you'll question everything you thought you knew about racing. The crash that rigged a Formula One race. Singapore 2008, the first ever night race under those iconic Marina Bay lights. Renault is desperate, dead last in the standings. Fernando Alonso qualifies P15, his rookie teammate Nelson Piquet Jr. sits P16, winning impossible. Unless you cheat. According to testimony that surfaced a year later, team boss Flavio Briatore and engineering chief Pat Symonds pulled Piquet aside before the race. The plan was simple but insane. Lap 14, turn 17, floor it into the wall, no brakes, just crash. The safety car would bunch up in the field. Alonso, who'd pit early under a routine stop, would leapfrog everyone and inherit the lead. Piquet hesitated. This wasn't racing, this was a fraud, but Briatore smiled. It's for the good of the team. Race day, lap 14, Alonso pits. 2 laps later, Piquet hits turn 17 at full throttle and slams into the barriers. Yellow flags, safety car, chaos in the pit lane. Half the grid gets caught behind the closed pit exit. When the dust settles, Alonso is suddenly first. He cruises to victory from P15. 1 year later, Piquet blew the whistle. Emails, radio transcripts, telemetry logs, all confirmed. The FIA tribunal drops the hammer. Briatore gets a lifetime ban, later overturned. Symonds is suspended for 5 years. Renault receives a 2-year suspended ban. Alonso's win, it stands. The FIA insists he knew nothing. But that podium photo now feels like evidence at a crime scene. Crashgate didn't just shock F1. It proved that when desperation meets ambition, some teams will cross every line. The heist that cost $100 million. Spring 2007. Ferrari's garage is buzzing with a rumor too wild to ignore. Someone leaked their secrets. Every blueprint, every fuel mix, every wind tunnel schedule. 780 pages, all stamped with Ferrari's prancing horse logo. Disgruntled mechanic Nigel Stepney felt frozen out after a team reshuffle. So he walked away with Ferrari's entire playbook and handed it to his old friend Mike Coughlin, McLaren's chief designer. The plan? Stay quiet, use the intel, win races. But the mission hit a snag. Coughlin's wife dropped those red-stamped pages at a copy shop in Surrey. The clerk, spotting Ferrari logos everywhere, immediately called Ferrari's UK office. Within hours, lawyers from Maranello were pounding on McLaren's door. July 2007. The FIA tribunal convenes. Ron Dennis swears no one at Woking used the documents, but Max Mosley waves the dossier like a prosecutor in a spy thriller. Then Fernando Alonso's name surfaces. To avoid punishment, Alonso cooperates with the FIA, handing over incriminating emails proving McLaren did use Ferrari data. September 13, 2007, the verdict lands harder than a failed pit stop. $100 million fine, the biggest penalty in sporting history. McLaren is stripped of all constructors' points. Hamilton and Alonso keep their trophies, but the team's glory is erased. Coughlin and Stepney vanish into sports car obscurity. Spygate becomes shorthand for industrial espionage, and every photocopier near an F1 factory now has a direct line to the FIA. Ferrari didn't just win on track that year, they won in the courtroom. When desperation turns a champion into a villain. Michael Schumacher, 7-time world champion, the fastest driver of his generation. And twice, the man who decided championships with crashes. 1994, Adelaide, Australia, Schumacher leads the championship by 1 point over Damon Hill, lap 36. Schumacher clips a wall, damaging his Benetton. Hill dives inside at a corner. Schumacher turns in, contact, both cars are out. Schumacher wins the title, Hill loses everything. Conspiracy theories explode. Did Schumacher do it on purpose? The FIA investigates but finds nothing conclusive. The title stands. 1997, Jerez, Spain, Schumacher vs. Jacques Villeneuve, championship on the line again, lap 48. Villeneuve dives down the inside. Schumacher, trailing by 1 point, turns hard into him. But this time the Benetton bounces off, Villeneuve keeps going, Schumacher retires with suspension damage. The world watches the replay in slow motion. It's not a racing incident, it's deliberate. 4 weeks later, the FIA tribunal stripped Schumacher of his entire 1997 championship position. His points erased, his name removed from the standings. It's the harshest penalty ever given to a world champion. Schumacher later admits regret, but the damage is done. 2 championships, 2 collisions. One question that still divides fans today: was he a genius under pressure or a driver willing to win at any cost? The rivalry turned into a 2-year revenge saga. Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost, teammates at McLaren, the 2 fastest drivers on the planet and absolute enemies. 1989, Suzuka, Japan. Senna needs to win to keep his championship hopes alive. Prost leads the race, lap 46. Senna dives down the inside at the chicane. Prost closes the door, contact. Both cars spin into the gravel. Prost unbuckles and walks away. Senna waves for marshals, gets a push start, crosses the chicane, pits for a new nose, and wins the race. 2 hours later, the stewards disqualified him. Senna cut the chicane. Prost is the champion. Senna is furious. He accuses Prost of political manipulation. The feud explodes. 1990, same track, same corner, roles reversed. This time, Prost is at Ferrari. Senna leads the championship. He qualifies on pole but complains that pole position is on the dirty side of the track. Race officials refuse to move it. Lap 1, lights out. Prost gets a better start. Senna aims straight for him. They collide at 290 km/h. Both cars are beached in the gravel. Race over. Senna wins the championship on the spot. Years later, Senna admits it. I did it on purpose. He took me out in '89, I took him out in '90. 2 crashes, 2 championships. One rivalry that proved revenge in Formula One is a dish best served at 300 km/h. Here's the thing, Senna and Prost weren't just fighting for trophies, they were fighting for legacy, and both were willing to risk everything, including their lives, to win. The lie that cost a race win. Australia, 2009. The season opener. Lewis Hamilton is chasing Jarno Trulli under the safety car. Trulli goes off track, Hamilton passes him, then Trulli repasses Hamilton. Confusing, absolutely. After the race, the stewards investigate. Did Trulli illegally overtake under yellow flags? Hamilton and McLaren team manager Dave Ryan are called in. Hamilton tells the stewards he didn't let Trulli pass. Ryan backs him up. Case closed. Trulli gets a 25-second penalty. Hamilton moves up to 3rd place. But then the radio transcripts leak. Let him pass, let him pass. That's McLaren race engineer telling Hamilton to move over. Hamilton did let Trulli through, and then he lied about it to the stewards. 4 days later, the FIA reconvened. The evidence is damning: audio recordings, telemetry data, emails. Hamilton is disqualified. Ryan is fired. The media brands it Liegate. And for the first time in his career, the golden boy of British motorsport is exposed as human. Hamilton later apologizes, calling it the worst moment of his career. I let myself down, I let my family down, I let McLaren down. But here's the question nobody asked at the time. Was Hamilton the mastermind, or was he a 24-year-old kid following team orders? The answer probably lies somewhere in between. Either way, Liegate proved that in Formula One, even the smallest lie can destroy a reputation. When the radio code for hold position became hold my drink. Malaysia, 2013, a soggy Sunday morning at Sepang, Red Bull locks out the front row, Mark Webber leads, Sebastian Vettel sits P2. Lap 44, the team radio crackles. Multi-21, Seb Multi-21. That's Red Bull code, car 2 stays behind car 1. No passing. Webber obediently dials his engine back, coasting to preserve tires and secure the 1-2 finish. But Vettel smells blood. 3 corners later, he flips back to the aggressive engine mode, locks eyes on turn 4, and dives inside Webber at 310 km/h. Sidepod brushing sidepod, 2 laps of elbows out sprint racing. At turn 9, Vettel squeezes through. The radio erupts. Multi-21, Seb Multi-21, this is silly. Vettel stays silent, he crosses the line first. On the podium, the tension is ice cold. Webber offers a stiff handshake. Helmut Marko later calls it pure racing instinct. Vettel mumbles, sorry Mark, I was faster. But the apology evaporates by the next headline. There's no penalty, but the fallout is real. Webber bolted for Porsche in 2014. Vettel cruised to his fourth title, forever tagged with Multi-21 by fans who know exactly what happened. Team orders exist for a reason, but when one driver decides he's bigger than the team, the code becomes meaningless. The radio message that made the world cringe. Germany 2010, Hockenheim, Ferrari's Felipe Massa is leading the race. Fernando Alonso sits in second, stuck behind his teammate. Then the radio crackles. Fernando is faster than you. Can you confirm you understood that message? It's Ferrari race engineer Rob Smedley. The subtext is crystal clear, move over. Massa hesitates, then on the main straight he lifts off. Alonso breezes past. The crowd boos, commentators lose their minds, even the Ferrari pit wall looks uncomfortable. After the race, the backlash is instant. Fans accuse Ferrari of destroying the sport. The FIA fines Ferrari $100,000 for breaching the team orders ban introduced after Austria 2002. But here's the twist: team orders were technically banned, but everyone was doing it. Ferrari just got caught saying it out loud. Massa later admits the moment broke something inside him. He never won another race. Alonso went on to challenge for the championship, losing by just 4 points to Vettel. Fernando is faster than you didn't just cost Massa a win, it cost him his confidence. And it reminded the world that in Formula One, loyalty only runs one direction. The first lap carnage that earned the first ban in 18 years. Spa 2012, one of the fastest tracks on the calendar. Lap 1, turn 1, 24 cars charging into Les Combes at 300 km/h. Romain Grosjean, starting fourth, drifts right. Lewis Hamilton has nowhere to go. Contact. Grosjean's Lotus launches into the air, collecting Fernando Alonso and Sergio Perez. Debris everywhere, wheels flying. Alonso's Ferrari wedged underneath Grosjean's car, inches from his head. The red flag comes out, the race is stopped. Alonso climbs out, visibly shaken. Hamilton storms past Grosjean without a word. The stewards don't even need to deliberate. Grosjean caused the crash. He gets a one-race ban, the first driver suspended since Michael Schumacher in 1994. But here's the thing: Grosjean wasn't malicious, he was reckless. A pattern of first-lap incidents had already earned him the nickname First-Lap Nutcase. The ban was a wake-up call. Grosjean came back calmer, smarter, and eventually became one of F1's most consistent drivers. But Spa 2012 proved that in Formula One, one mistake at 300 km/h can end careers, or worse. The explosion that almost killed a pit crew. Germany 1994, Hockenheim, Jos Verstappen, father of future world champion Max Verstappen, pulls into the Benetton pit box for a routine stop. The fuel hose connects, the mechanics swarm the car, then in less than 2 seconds hell breaks loose. A massive fireball engulfs the car. Flames shoot 20 feet into the air, mechanics scatter, their suits on fire. Verstappen sits in the cockpit, surrounded by fire, unable to see. The blaze is extinguished in seconds, but the damage is done. Several mechanics suffer burns. Verstappen escapes with minor injuries. The investigation reveals something suspicious. Benetton had modified their fuel rig to speed up refueling. The FIA suspects the modifications were illegal, designed to remove a safety valve that prevented overpressure. Benetton denies everything, the investigation stalls, no penalties are issued. But the fire raises a bigger question. Was Benetton bending the rules all season? Rumors swirl about traction control, illegal ride height systems, and fuel rigs designed to cheat. The 1994 season was already controversial. Ayrton Senna died at Imola. Roland Ratzenberger died the day before. Michael Schumacher won his first championship in a Benetton many believed was illegal. The pit fire didn't just expose safety flaws. It exposed the dark side of F1 in the 90s, where winning meant pushing every limit, legal or not. Fast, dangerous, and funded by a government. Pastor Maldonado, the name alone divides F1 fans. Some remember him as a race winner. Others remember him as the most unpredictable driver ever to sit in an F1 car. Spain, Barcelona, Maldonado driving for Williams qualified on pole, nobody saw it coming. On race day he holds off Fernando Alonso and wins, his first and only F1 victory. The celebration is massive. Venezuela's president personally congratulates him. PDVSA, the state-owned oil company, plasters their logo across every surface. But here's the problem. Maldonado wasn't in F1 because he was the fastest driver available. He was there because Venezuela's government was paying Williams tens of millions of dollars a year to keep him on the grid. The racing world labeled him a pay driver, and while he was genuinely fast on his day, he was also wildly inconsistent. Crashes, penalties, incidents with nearly every driver on the grid. By 2015, the money dried up. Venezuela's economy collapsed. PDVSA couldn't afford F1 anymore. Maldonado lost his seat at Lotus and never returned. His legacy? One brilliant win, and a reminder that in Formula One, talent alone isn't always enough. Sometimes it's about who's writing the checks. 10 scandals, 10 moments that prove Formula One isn't just about speed. It's about power, politics, and people willing to do anything to win. From deliberate crashes to $100 million fines, these stories rewrote the rulebook. They ended their careers, they destroyed reputations, and they reminded the world that in the most expensive sport on earth, nothing is too sacred to sacrifice. So here's the real question. With new teams, new rules, and new drivers entering the grid every year, what's the next scandal waiting to explode? Because if F1 history has taught us anything, it's this. The biggest scandal is always the one nobody sees coming.